Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2, the second half of the end of the Tomorrowverse, the cinematic universe that has the films inside that's connected to this film, Superman Man of Tomorrow, Justice Society World War 2, Batman The Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2, Green Lantern Where My Power, Legion of Superheroes, Justice League War, and Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1. Boom, there you go. I said it all, I quick fired it, I'm able to name them all, and I got one more video, and that's probably in like July around Comic-Con time. I think, safe to assume, that's when Part 3 is going to come out. Anyway, when it comes to Part 1, I was kind of skeptical with it, because I was a bit, like, this universe is a bit hit or miss for me. I enjoyed the beginning, I enjoyed, World War 2 and Man of Tomorrow, and I think that Long Halloween adaptation is really damn good, really solid. I think it's the best thing they have done in this universe. But then, Where My Power was babao, and League of Superheroes were babao, and then Justice League War comes along, and that was a big babao. And so I didn't know what I was going to feel with Crisis. I knew it was kind of smart for them to not make it one movie, knowing how big knowing how big Crisis is. But when it came to watching Part 1, I digged it. I liked it. Maybe it got a little bit too jumbled with the whole Barry going to Earth every 2 minutes, but I felt was quite solid. I thought it was a solid Part 1, and I was like looking forward to Part 2. So I just finished Part 2, and I will say this. I wasn't expecting, literally, if you think about it, 3 short films. 3 short films inside this movie. Because the first half of this film is all background information. You get 2, information dumps, or information knowledge, not dumps, but knowledge stuff that happens in the first half. Because in the first half of this film, you get stuff dealing with Kara, exploring her relationship with the Monitor, finding out what she was doing before Legion of Superheroes, what happened after Legion of Superheroes, how she became a Harbinger, that type of thing. Which I dig pretty well. I thought it was pretty. It did kind of fill out some gaps. It did fill out how did this happen? How did this happen? How did that happen? And they showed you to it. I kind of did wish they kind of did the flashback 20 years later or something on those lines, because it doesn't. The first scene doesn't start as a flashback. It's set in present day, and then we hit flashback mode for 30 to 20 minutes, and I was thinking, guys, it'll be very helpful if you gave me some educations here that this is a flashback. I was like, I'm digging this relationship. I'm digging the idea of Kara feels trapped, and she feels, the concept of her seeing her family, knowing Krypton got exploded, how she coped with it, how she went to Earth, and that, I was like, okay, I'm liking it. But it cuts to this flashback thing where Psycho Pirate is talking to clearly Dr. Fate, and he's displaying his whole story to her. And what happens is, it's mostly voiceover. But what happened is, they would tell a little bit of the story of Psycho Pirate's story, and then we would cut back to Kara and the Monitor. And I felt like, guys, just tell the story. Just tell Psycho Pirate's origin story, and then let's go and meet up with the Monitor. Because this back and forth thing, I felt was very jarring and didn't flow well. As a animated, animation editing is different from video editing. But if it is, or it isn't, I felt like the first half of the film didn't have any sort of pace or rhythm to it, just because it kept jumping to these 2 sections. But it stopped the moment we are back to the main story. And the main story, I really like. And if you said who was the main character of Part 2, Making Supergirl the main character makes sense, but also her sharing the main character spotlight with Psychopirate was something I wasn't expecting, because like out all of the villains or all of the characters in the DC archive, I don't think people were expecting who's your main character of a Justice League movie, Psychopirate. No, I think none of us would expect that at all. None of us would expect that. But the stuff that happens in present day is, of course, shocking and surprising and thrilling, and like, of course, this is the one where we see Sharon demons, and there is a sense of horror to these guys. We see the Bat family, like a multiverse Bat family with Batgirl, Batman Beyond, two Robins. We got Dick and Damian, and I kind of like, this Batman is like, when he sees Damian, he's like, get back in the car, even because he's like, you're 10, dude. I was trained by the League of Assassins and Tiger Goo, and I'm the heir of the cow and all kinds of stuff. I don't care. I don't care what your Batman does. This is my Earth, and you, as a 10-year-old, ain't gonna be over there. It is all about character work in this. It's all about character work. It's all about the emotional arc on Kara, because we see her reaction to her, her friends and her loved one, with Brainy at 5. We know being gone in existence and how she's coping with that. And you have introductions with the Anti-Monitor, and you got Psychopirate pulling some swings together and having his goal being like his goal. He wants everyone to think like him, and having it dialing up Wanda Stale, which is like an entire Earth, an entire multiverse, thinking like him. This is so far quite well put together. Is it perfect? No. I mentioned some things. I wasn't, the pacing of the first half of the movie was a little bit off for me. Of course, there's some reveals in this movie that we all saw a mile away with, like, who's the old guy in the hood? Clearly that's Constantine. Like, we knew about that. And the film does end quite roughly. It is one of those things where we're not going to end the film with, like, everyone wins. It's like, okay, let's do the opposite. Everyone loses. And the ending is quite shocking with what Kara does and Kara's journey and in it and that. But yeah, I'm digging part. I'm digging this. I'm pretty well. They are taking a bit of a slow burn approach if you think about it. It is them taking their time, and for some people they might be taking too much of their time, too much time to get things rolling and have things moving. But I always like good character work and understanding where Kara has gone through, and her relationship with the Monitor. I was like, yeah. I'm digging these two films.